Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boscheman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive Podcast. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the numerology and the energy for both the collective and the individual life path numbers for March 2022. As with all of these monthly videos, it's very important that you listen to the part for the collective, because we are each a part of the collective. And that energy is what's really going to be potent during this time. And so it ties in with your individual life path number. That's why I don't put timestamps. This, of course, is a general reading. If you would like a personalized reading, please book some time with me. My information is in the description box below. I have also just recently started offering one-to-one, face-to-face over Zoom, life path coaching with numerology. If this is something that you're interested in, this is an opportunity for a 1-hour session where we dive in deeply into your numerology chart to discuss anything you want to discuss that you're currently facing or that may be coming up for the future for you. If that's something that you're interested in, just book some time with me. I would absolutely love to meet you face-to-face and to work with you in that way. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at the energies for March. So March ushers in the universal cycle of the 9 energy. During this cycle, we can find that we're able to think more abstractly and not quite so rigidly when it comes to our belief systems and how we move through the world. 9 energy is that of the humanitarian. It's an energy that honors self while also bringing in service towards others. So by opening our minds and our hearts, we can begin to see things from a broader perspective where greater, more elevated solutions lie. Aligned 9 energy sets out to bring people together with an emphasis on equality and justice for all. It's an energy of no one being left behind, because if someone is struggling, ultimately we're all struggling in some way. So where we can find ways to coexist while doing no harm, then we're able to be a part of the greater circle. If one is being pushed out from that circle, it creates a gap that in one way or another, we all end up feeling, especially energetically. So 9 energetic cycles help us to find ways to do our individual part for the greater good, for the collective, and to bridge the gap, which I think now more than ever, we could use this energy. So it's beautiful energy, especially for March, especially for this time in history. So definitely work with it the best that you can throughout the month and always, but it's very potent this month. This is also a completion cycle, so it can indicate attainment, things coming to fruition from past efforts, such as rewards, earnings, return of investments. This is going to be a situation where you've put in the effort previously and now you're seeing those things again coming to fruition or coming to closure. And it can be closure that's abrupt, or it can be closure that you're just kind of tying up that bow really nicely and moving on to the next thing. It can also indicate things falling away so that new seeds can begin to grow, creating a greater foundation for your future cycles. Similar to when we sort of lose our baby teeth as children so that our adult teeth can come in, shedding what no longer works or no longer supports us for something that does. Though this isn't the best energy for sort of starting anything big or new, it's more of a time for setting the intentions and making the preparations for this cycle to begin, right? So this cycle can feel somewhat busier than normal with a lot of added responsibilities being added to your plate. You can see a tremendous amount of inspirations and ideas, psychic and intuitive downloads coming in for you now. Pay extra attention to your dreams at this time and any kind of, again, visions that you have, ideas, inspirations. Now, this isn't necessarily, like I said, this isn't the cycle where we would necessarily take action on those inspirations or those big ideas. Although, we have to go with what comes up for us. So if life dictates that you need to take action, then take action. Don't let this sort of prevent you from doing that. But this isn't the most supportive energy for big ideas taking root when we take action on them just yet. This is the time for the sort of the incubation period, the ideas coming in, sort of exploration of those ideas and those inspirations, and maybe planning and deciding how we want to take action on these ideas. And then in the months that follow, then taking those big risks, those big inspired action, right? So this is going to be a time again to really sink into the more ethereal, sink into the inspirations, the ideas, the dreams. The dreams are going to be coming in very vividly, very strongly for those of you that are especially sensitive to that. You could notice that, again, your intuitive powers are even stronger during this time. You could notice that, again, your psychic powers are much more profound at this time, much more vivid. So pay attention to that. A lot of times that can hold messages. So we just need to be open to it, take note of it, and then revisit it down the road if we need to. So this is not going to be a cycle where self-serving or overly self-indulgent endeavors will be supported. Instead, broad compassion, kindness, understanding, and more evolved actions are the ones that will gain the most traction. Friendships and relationships of all kinds can prosper and grow during this time, especially those that hold a similar vision for the greater good. So pay attention to who enters your sphere at this time, your reality, your experience, or who re-enters your life now. They could play a key role in the journey ahead. So be open to who you meet and the messages that they hold and the wisdom that they've come to share. This could be very important for your journey forward. Be mindful not to sort of cling to or get overly attached to experiences, people, or emotions that have run their course and that need to be released. Replaying events or stories in your head only to beat yourself up with them aren't allowing you to move forward into a sort of greener pastures, right? We may need to sort of shovel the manure every now and then, but we certainly don't need to sit in it. So extract the wisdom, release the person, place, or thing with an open heart and with gratitude for their contribution, and move along. There's much more adventure to be had beyond the self-created gates that we often create for ourselves, right? Release that stagnant energy and look forward to the future with joy and high expectation for what awaits you around the next corner, for what you'll create from these big ideas, these big dreams, these big inspirations that could be coming in for you during this cycle. This is incredibly beautiful, ethereal, creative energy, and just a time again for exploration on the softer side of things. So definitely embrace it to the best of your ability. Again, the energy can be present. It's always what we choose to do with it that makes the difference. Okay, on to the life path number. Life Path 22 4s. So I pulled an animal spirit card for you all for March, and you got Swan Spirit. So Swan's message is time for a deep dive. And so what's really coming through for this is just this energy around there may be something that you have been sort of tinkering with or working with that you've sort of just been keeping it surface level. This could also be like a relationship that maybe you've been trying to, because of fear or something like that, or, self-doubt or whatever, you've been trying to keep it very platonic maybe, or sort of surface level where you're not disclosing very much about or sharing very much about yourself because you don't want to be vulnerable, or the other person maybe, have their defenses up because they don't want to be vulnerable. And I feel like this is an opportunity to dive a little bit deeper. Like I feel like it's time to not necessarily take whatever this is to the next level, but it's kind of like everything that can be explored on the surface level has been explored. And so it's kind of like this is going to be an opportunity for you to decide, is this something I want to take or continue to pursue, or is this something I want to release? But in order to really make that decision, you need to dive deeper. You need to go down to where the nutrients are, right? Like you think about a swan takes a very deep dive down to the surface of the pond or the lake to be able to get those yummy nutrients. And so for you all, it's like there's a lot more depth to whatever this is. It doesn't have to be a relationship. It could be a project you're working on. It could be something within your home life. Whatever it is, it's just gets this energy. It's just this feeling of like you've just been trying to keep it very surface level, very it's kind of like when you when you meet somebody and you just want to keep it like an acquaintance because you don't want to share too much about yourself. Again, for like fear of getting like hurt or not trusting that person or whatever. And so, but I just feel like whatever this is, it's like going to come to a point where you need to make a decision, whether you're going to continue on or you're going to release. And I think for you all, Swan's message is really, don't be afraid to dive deeper, because that's where the yumminess is. That's where the nutrients are. That's where the majority of sort of the information lies, or, you know, like what you need to know before you can make a sound decision. So if there's something like that within your current experience, this is sort of the universe's message to you saying it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to open yourself up, to go deeper, to, again, like I said, be vulnerable. And yeah, sometimes that opens us up to wounding or pain we don't really want to experience, but sometimes it's the complete opposite, and it turns out being so incredibly beautiful. So don't deprive yourself of something that could be incredibly beautiful out of fear of letting somebody get too close, or making a mistake, or making the wrong decision, or any of those things, right, that kind of keep us small. So whatever this is, same thing with like, if there's like a job or something that you want to apply for, but for whatever reason you don't feel qualified, or, you know, yada, 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 there's this energy here of explore it, go deeper, you know, like really investigate it, because it might appear on the surface that you're not qualified, or it's not the right fit, or whatever, or that you wouldn't get it. But I think upon like further investigation, you may find some information that leads you down a different direction, or like, you know, shows you that, I could do this, and it doesn't hurt to apply, or whatever. So I think you get what I'm trying to say. But definitely something here about you're not getting the nutrients that you need around whatever this is at the surface level. You've depleted it. So time to dive deeper, to really get into the goodness. Okay. And so as we look at the month ahead for 22s, beginning of the month is beautiful energy. Now, the first thing that stood out for me for the beginning of the month was around children. So it could be that if you've been trying to have a baby, maybe you find out that you're pregnant, or that your partner's pregnant. It could be that you're giving birth, that you are going to be surrounded by children in some way. It could also be a call from the universe for you to surround yourself with children in some way, just because of their like childlike innocence, their jovialness. You know, they're so like, they have so much joy that they bring, right? So it could be like surround yourself with that. You can also sort of get that same energy from animals. So, you know, pets, whatever. So there's just this energy around like definitely playfulness, doing things like creative things that, again, spark your interest, that make you feel good, that, you know, make you happy, opening yourself up to, and again, this goes back to Swan's message, but opening yourself up to and giving yourself permission to play, to explore, to plant seeds that you would maybe never thought about planting before, and just see how they grow. So lots of powerful energy coming in around that at the beginning of the month. It's definitely a very like creative energy. So there's a lot of creative life force behind this, a lot of masculine energy of like action. This month is not necessarily the best month for taking action, but if you feel compelled to or called to, then do it. This is going to be more about like play and exploring and getting your, you know, getting your hands dirty, just expressing yourself in different ways that maybe you haven't expressed yourself before, and seeing what sticks, and then taking that action potentially in the future to build something from that. But this beginning of the month is very playful energy. So I would say dive into that. Take a deep dive into that and just see where it takes you without feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't have time for this. I've got to be doing something that's going to produce something, which is very like 22 mentality sometimes because it can be so practical. But this is going to be that energy of like, don't beat yourself up for wanting to play, because so many times like the biggest inspiration, the biggest creations are derived from our playtime, from the things where we can quiet the mind and just try new things and explore different experiences and all those things. And so I think you're going to have opportunities, or at least be sort of called to do that a little bit more at the beginning of the month. And I would say honor it. Even if you have to schedule it in, that's fine. Because usually if it gets on the calendar, it'll get done. But don't let it be one of those things where it's on your calendar and then you cross it off because it seems trivial. It's not trivial. This is important. So give yourself time to play. Okay, mid-month, this is interesting energy. There's something here around, I don't know, there's just this energy of like, either it's your energy or it's somebody else's, but there's like this like very strong need to be right about a situation and being very stubborn about a situation. I think stubborn is probably the key word here. There's something where maybe you need to be collaborating with other people, working with them in some way. Maybe you're the expert in this, whatever this is, but you're supposed to collaborate with others around whatever this is. And maybe they want to do things a little bit differently, and you're being very stubborn about how you, what you'll say yes to or whatever, what you'll allow. And there's definitely something here about softening that a bit, because you really need to, appreciate and sort of recognize and acknowledge the other ideas on the table, because they're significant and they could potentially hold information or key aspects to whatever it is that you're trying to do, right? And so this can also be around like relationships, and this can be you or the other party, whatever, but there's something here about the person in question sort of being the dominating force in this relationship and not taking the other person's ideas or wisdom or experiences into consideration, and not allowing them to equally contribute. Now, this could be, again, you, and this other person is keeping you from being able to contribute or whatever. And really the energy or the message is the only way to see like success of this situation is if both parties are equally collaborating, like equally sharing their wisdom, their information. They have an equal say in how things get done and what that looks like. It's a partnership is basically what it comes down to. So again, it can be a romantic partnership, a business partnership, a partnership with yourself. I don't know, right? Like a partnership with the universe, but it's something where you or the other person is being very stubborn about something and sort of taking the lead, but not leading alongside of others, where the other people are not being taken into consideration. And obviously that's going to cause conflict and separation and issues. So the message is anywhere where maybe like you are being dominated or you are dominating somebody, to where it's not an equal exchange of energy, that is not sustainable. That's not going to work. And it needs to be reevaluated, because the only way that it's going to be it's going to have a successful ending is if you guys can find a way to work together, and honor each other's contribution to the situation, whatever that is. And I will say, bringing back Swan's message, that does call for a little bit of vulnerability, right? Like if it's a work project, you have to be a little bit vulnerable, accepting other people's ideas and trusting that they are capable to contribute in that way, and kind of putting your work on the line. You see what I'm saying? So it's just this energy of going beyond the surface layer of I'm right and it's my way or the highway type thing, and just being stubborn. And again, it can be the other person's energy too. But the only way that this is going to have a successful outcome, whatever this is if there's seeing eye to eye, working together, and collaboration. So however that comes in for you, if it comes in for you. And then you're closing out the month, again, with this very strong leadership energy. So this could be your energy or somebody else's, but this could be like you stepping into a very solid like leadership role and mentorship. You going to ask somebody to be your mentor or to be your teacher in some way. You may see a teacher enter your experience, somebody you wouldn't have expected just showing up. But there's something to be learned here as well. So if you are the teacher, then you have the wisdom to share, and not in a way that's being driven by ego, but in a way where it's like you've been there, done it, mastered it, and now you can share it in a way so that others can take that wisdom and incorporate it into their own way of doing something. So it's not about dictating about this is how it has to be done, unless it's something like a formula or something that, without that specific formula, it's just not going to work, right? Like that's a different situation. But this is like you being a mentor or a teacher and sharing your expertise, but not in a way that's driven by ego. It's in a way that's, you want to share this information. You want to share this wisdom to empower others, right? To help empower others. So it could also, like I said, be you going to a teacher or finding someone who has the wisdom that you're seeking, and really respecting that and taking the time that you need to take to be able to integrate it. There's definitely something here about like longevity and not rushing. So there may be something that you're working on or that you've just recently committed to, that if you're looking for instant gratification, I think you need to release that expectation, because whatever this is could take quite a bit of time to come to fruition. It's kind of like, we gain our most wisdom throughout the years, right? Like the more time that goes by and the more life experiences and whatnot is how we gain that wisdom. And how we unlock new wisdom and all of that. And so there's something here around if there's a project or something that you've been working on and you want to go from 0 to 1,000, just know that's probably not going to happen. And so just take your time, just, like I said, just sort of release that expectation, because you will get to where it is that you're trying to go to, and it will be worth it. But it's going to take time because you're building something sustainable, right? So I would say in closing, going back to Swan Spirit, there's definitely like a theme this month where you are being asked to be sort of vulnerable, where you are being asked to break that tough exterior, if you have one, to allow people to come in, to allow people to assist you, to help, to support you. And then you doing the same for others as well, and allowing them to be vulnerable around you. You see what I'm saying? So perfection is just, it's something that humans have created, right? Like this expectation. But the reality is that every human has flaws. Every human is like working through something, trying to figure it out on the fly. And so the more that we can understand that about ourselves and others, we become more compassionate to that journey. And we feel a little bit more comfortable being vulnerable around other people because they have the same vulnerabilities, whether they're willing to show them or not. So definitely something here this month about not being afraid to ask for help, for receiving help, for opening yourself up and diving deeper into the depths of whatever it is that you're sort of going through, or the relationship or whatever, because that's going to be building a solid foundation. Staying on the surface level is not building a solid foundation. So anyway, that could come up for you all. So just kind of keep that in mind. I hope this was helpful. Thank you all so much for listening, 22s. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.